Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is a real pleasure to see so many people inside today. I am Elena Tavlaki, and I represent here, I am the facilitator of the SUTS final conference, and representing a work of 4 years and 3 months already. Work from 22 organizations. More than 100 people have worked for SUTS project all these years. And today and tomorrow we'll have this conference explaining and trying to transfer to you what we have done all these years, and also what other teams and other experts has working in the same field has done all this period of transforming and going to green sustainable mobility. The first day, today, we'll have the opening statements and 3 sessions. One will be related to policy innovation on green and sustainable mobility. The second will be the capacity building in small, medium cities authorities. And the third one, the innovative financing, procurement, and backup projects. The second day, we'll have 3 sessions. First will be the organizational change for resilient local authorities. The second one will be the tools for the analysis and exploitation of mobility data by small, medium cities, and a wrap-up session in the end. Now, I want to give the floor to my colleague Andre Woodcock, the professor from Coventry University, who is actually the PI of the principal investigator of SUTS project. Sorry, allow us some. Yes. Yes, Andre, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Elena. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. We can't see you.
No, right.
We are live on YouTube as well, and the session is recorded.
Okay, thank you. Right, thank you, Elena, for the introduction, and thank you, everybody, for attending the SUTS final conference. It has been a very long 4 years for some of us, I must admit. So thank you for this opportunity to present the results of the project and to actually encourage debate around sustainable mobility at this time. As Elena said, I am the PI of the SUTS project. And first of all, I would like to welcome and introduce the consortium. This doesn't seem to be working. Sorry about that. I will get better as I go on this. So thank you. As Elena said, we've had over 100 people working on the project, and as you can see from here, we're roughly distributed across Europe. The pink highlights are the universities, the green highlights are the cities, and this also includes Palanga, Stuttgart, and Dachau, who worked with us as follower cities. The partners selected in orange were the technology providers, and the rest are made up of really important transport consultants who provided a lot of support to the project and worked with the city partners. So we're in interesting times. Barack Obama said, when times change, so must we. Our project's 4 years old. It was conceived 5 years ago. So what we want to do today is show that the project is relevant and also what we've tried to achieve and how this can have an impact going forward. Suits address the need for change in the transport and mobility sector, and I'm not going to provide all the challenges that the transport sector has, the targets it has to meet. But integrated sustainable transport is seen as providing opportunities to solve urban and global problems. And the key objective of the project was to provide capacity building in key areas based on the needs of small to medium local authorities. By doing this, we would enable the design of more effective, efficient, and inclusive and sustainable transport solutions, and we'd also support the summit process. In doing this, we hope to create resilient cities and systems which are safe and inclusive and actually fit for purpose, but also a pleasure to be part of. Nobody wants to live in a congested city. We need to live in pollution-free, greener cities. So looking at how we can create this is a key part of the journey we wish to take. But looking at what's happened now, what's changed, and do we still have this capacity to create smarter cities and integrated transport solutions? And maybe the panel could address some of this after this talk. So firstly, what do we mean by capacity? Well, this is defined as the actual or potential ability to perform or withstand. And here we're talking about to implement sustainable transport measures and maybe SUMPs as well. So what we found is that the lack of capacity, inexperience and lack of knowledge or information for transport users, maybe for people who are working in local authorities, many of whom haven't experienced the full range of innovative transport measures that are actually being developed. There's also a lack of resources, especially through times of austerity, which means that many transport departments are very small and they struggle. They need to address the day-to-day challenges, and they might not have the latest tools and methods which actually enable them to cope. Also, there might be organisational issues and barriers to cooperation and working in interdisciplinary ways. So what we wanted to do was also try and develop capacity in this area as well. So the capacity building model, the tools that we develop require the skills of the people within the local authorities, which means staff and infrastructure needs to be adapted and structured system and roles supported as well. And all this enables the more effective use of the structures, staff, skills and tools in there. Anne-Marie will be talking more about the capacity building model and the changes that we envisaged in the local authorities. So our approach has been to look at behavioural and organisational change and to, in parallel, consider increasing technical capacity and know-how. And together, these will lead to the improvements in the specification, design, implementation of sustainable transport measures. And by doing this, we hope to achieve a better quality of life. So there are two aspects to the project. The first is the behavioural and organisational change within the local authorities. And the second part of this was looking at providing information for them on the latest tools and methods that could be used. This is a very complicated summary of the capacity building actions that the project undertook. As you see on the left-hand side, there's a lot of activities around creating a learning organisation, helping envisage, develop KPIs, use of change agents and action learning to help the transport departments transform. This was paralleled by an increased knowledge and know-how in tools and methods and information around sustainable transport innovation, the use of mobility data, innovative procurement and financing, and organisational change as a capacity building exercise in itself. From all this, we've developed an organisational change process manual, demonstrations of better and more integrated data usage, guidelines, including online guidelines for the decision support system, a capacity building programme, and stakeholder engagement. So what have we been doing in terms of creating a learning organisation? And here my colleagues Anne-Marie and Olympia will be talking about these in later sessions. But to introduce the flavour of what we're trying to do is we started auditing the current capabilities and capacities of each of our local authorities. So Transport for West Midlands, Torino, Valencia, Calamaria and Alba Ulia. We matched these to the skills they needed to deliver sustainable transport measures. So this made it a very real exercise. They were looking at what their current capacity was in terms of what they had to do. Then we prioritised these and developed some form of key performance indicators so that we could monitor progress towards achieving these goals. Then we supported the local authorities in an organisational change process and also in terms of knowledge acquisition, and evaluated the progress and set new targets. In this, the consultants and the academic partners acted in concert with the local authorities to provide advice and guidance to them. So it was definitely a collaborative process based around the pace and the needs of the local authorities. From this, we've created a flexible and adaptable change process model, which perhaps could be extended to other departments as well as for local authorities. This included a self-audit framework, an organisational change process manual, which has been proven to work in the transport departments of our local authorities. And as I said, this uses and participatory approaches, which also lead to organisational change in themselves. This creates interpersonal trust, more positive emotions, reducing stress, increasing acceptance, giving people a sense of competence and change readiness and a sense of control. So organisational change can be very scary, but if you use a collaborative approach, it isn't so intimidating, and you set the goals against the organisational targets. And what we're saying is that this is the bedrock on which sustainable urban planning has to take place. You can't just impose a framework on the organisation without actually looking at the organisation which has to deliver against it. So this is what we've been doing. Looking at increasing technical capacity and know-how, Olympia and colleagues from Lever will be discussing the capacity building toolbox, which is focused again on the needs of small to medium local authorities, looking at emerging transport technologies, innovative transport schemes, safety and security for everyone, and urban freight transport. We've developed guidelines and an online decision support tool. The links will be provided in the sessions after this one, looking at innovative financing and procurement and new business models. We've also provided demonstrations, methods and tools to deal with data. This has included the capturing and integrating of mobility data, developing KPIs from Torino to measure congestion, and looking at data storage and how the problem of data storage can be solved inexpensively for local authorities who may wish to retain control over their data. So, in creating a learning organisation, SUITS has directly targeted those involved in sustainable mobility planning, the departments, whether they're mobility departments or transport departments. By doing this, organisational change knowledge developed in SUITS has influenced the wider organisation because people have had to talk to each other, maybe in terms of procurement departments and public engagement. So we've disseminated more widely across the local authority and seen very small but significant changes in practice. And the local authority in turn then influences the citizens, and if citizen engagement policies work well, they can actually be influenced by them and the external factors leading to more growth, innovation, learning and resilience. So we're trying to create a holistic approach to developing a learning organisation which will support the SUMP process. And thank you to REC for all the work they've done in developing version 2 of the Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan. The places in red show where SUITS has contributed to this process, and a lot of the work has been in terms of setting up working conditions. In summary, we see our project as supporting SUMPs through organisational changes within the Transport Department, increasing knowledge and understanding, for example, of financing, and data collection, the acceleration and implementation of transport measures and SUMPs, financing of new sustainable transport measures in the local city partners, so we've had a direct influence on the success of their tendering, and improved inclusion and representation in transport planning. The capacity of local authorities has been increased through organisational resilience and flexibility, openness to innovation and job satisfaction and trust. And we've been able to evidence this because we've been one of the few projects that have actually taken part of a local authority through an organisational change process and actually documented what's been going on, looking at the barriers and enablers to that and sharing information. And we'll be discussing this later on. I started off with saying when times change, so must we. We're now transitioning out of COVID. So what do we need to take forward? So continue to empower local experts, whether these are the citizens or the local authorities. They hold the real knowledge and the power. So look at how they can influence future policy, capitalise on the good practices that have emerged, such as e-learning, e-working, and agile thinking, and really being responsive to needs in a very fast way, widening the definition of integration and embracing the concept of intersectionality. So with that, I would like to conclude, and I'm sure some of this might be picked up in the panel and discussions later on today. So thank you very much for your attention. If you want to contact me, here are my contact details. So thank you, and over to Elena.
Thank you, Andre. That was a very comprehensive discussion about suits and presentation. I would like to ask our project officer from the European Commission, Pedro Alfonso Perez Losa, to come with us. Yes, we can see you, yes.
Yes, okay, great.
Welcome. And the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. As already introduced by Elena, my name is Pedro Perez, and I'm the project officer of SWITS. And I would like to welcome all you to this conference, which will show how to boost the capacity of small and medium local authorities to achieve a green, sustainable mobility. As you may know, SWITS is an ongoing research and innovation action funded under the Age 2020 program by the European Union, and is also managed by INEA, the Innovation and Networks Executive Agency, where I'm working. Actually, SWITS project will officially finish by end of this month. Moreover, SWITS is part of Civitas 2020. Overall, all the research projects like SWITS running under Civitas 2020 are focused on establishing new knowledge or exploring new transport technology feasibility. Indeed, as part of Civitas 2020 initiative, SWITS is clustered with two projects, Prosperity and Sums Up. These three projects bring together more than 80 actors working towards a common goal to support cities across Europe to develop and implement sustainable urban mobility plans. It is clear that SWITS results contributes to achieve the European Commission priorities in the fields of urban mobility as well as green sustainable mobility. And I'm pretty sure that this conference will serve as a showroom of the current implementation of sustainable mobility measures in cities, and will also highlight the importance of the cooperation from all involved actors to achieve a coordinated approach when deploying the mobility measures. So thanks a lot for the attention, enjoy the conference, and I give the floor to Elena to continue.
Thank you, Pedro.
Welcome.
Nice to have you here.